Namaskarams and greetings to all the dignitaries, wonderful musicians, rasikas, students, aspirants gathered here. I choose this topic with the utmost humility. Humility in the face of this great ocean that is Carnatic music. Some of these statements will sound extremely cliched, but still they are true. So, sometimes just because they are cliched, we don't need to avoid them. The fact is that this is a huge ocean and it has come to this level only because of the greatness and the genius of numerous brilliant minds over several centuries. So when we address such a topic, it's with reverence to all those people who have made the system what it is today. And that includes great musicologists right from the times of Bharata, Sarangadeva and others, right till the fantastic composers from the times of the Alvars, Nayanmars, and then down to Purandaradasa, Annamacharya, Uthikadu Venkatakavi, Trinity, and post-Trinity, Vagyekaras, as well as the numerous musicians, the great musicians who are performers, who are practitioners, who are gurus, and who are preservers of the art. Then the great promoters of the art, the patrons, and most of all the public, the listeners, the rasikas, the connoisseurs who actually inspire creativity, beauty, artistry, everything in all of us. So when we talk about this topic, it's not like anybody is talking at it from a pedestal or preaching or doing anything at all. It's actually a small set of observations that are designed to especially address students with a view that they are so talented. What I'm overwhelmed about is the enormous amount of talent that is there throughout the world today. And that is what really inspires me to even address this kind of aspects. The amount of talent that is there not only in India, but also in so many other parts of the world that you see in festivals like Cleveland Festival or so many other events in Chicago or Australia or Malaysia, Singapore and so many places, or UK and other countries, is like so inspiring for any artist. And when we look at that, we fervently hope that these are the kind of people who will be the guardians of our tradition tomorrow. They are going to be the ones who will be taking this tradition further. And with their kind of talent, if we can sort of address a small, just give some tips here and there, which can make the whole music standards go across the board, raise as much as possible, then it will be a fantastic contribution. In this context, I should say that the strength of a system is not dependent on the top artists. It's not the top artists who actually determine the strength of a system. Top artists are there in almost any system. Take it pop music or rock or if you take Western classical or jazz or Carnatic or Hindustani, you always have top artists who are going to be at the top. So the system will sound good when they perform it. The real strength of the system is in the middle level artists. It's that they are the ones who form the backbone of a system. Today in that context, if I were to see Western classical music, for instance, has a very strong middle level artists. You have hundreds and hundreds of orchestra artists who are pretty competent. They may not be in the solo category like say Yasha Hefids or Perlman or something, but they are still very, very competent. Their average level of competence is what makes a system great. So this is my aim in this. When I want to address this kind of topic, my aim is to make the middle level Carnatic system very, very strong. The middle level artists are the ones who are really going to preserve and project the system, because many of them will be gurus and they are going to be teaching millions of students. So in this context, I've been very, very fortunate to learn from the great Chitravina Maestro Narasimhan here, who is my guru. I was also very fortunate to interact, as Shri R.K. sir mentioned, with all the legends. But I was also equally fortunate to learn, in phases from some of the other very good Vidwans, like A. Narayana Iyer, Gotu Vadyam, who was a very, very competent artist. I mentioned these people because they were all very conscious of not only aesthetics but also grammar. Why I'm saying this is in the context of the way I grew up, that grammar does not detract from aesthetics. An awareness of grammar and an adherence to grammar does not detract from aesthetics if it is done in the right level. If an obsession with anything will actually detract from anything actually. So, awareness does not detract. So there is a lot of talk that happens sometimes that, ரொம்ப வந்து ஒரு லட்சணத்தை நம்ம நினச்சி பாடுத்துன்னா அது வந்து எஸ்தட்டிக்காக பொயட்டிக் பியூட்டியாக நம்ம எக்ஸ்ப்ரெஸ் பண்ண முடியாது, அதில் வந்து பியூட்டி போய்டுறது சார் அப்படின்லாம் சில டாக் that is getting very fashionable sometimes. So by my experience, a raga really does not gain by a mistake. நக்கீரர் சொல்லிருந்த வார்த்தை வந்து ரொம்ப இங்கே ஆப்டாக தோன்றுது. நெற்றிக் கண் திறந்தாலும் குற்றம் குற்றமே அப்படின்னு அவர் சொல்லிந்து, யாரே வந்து அந்த மிஸ்டேக் பண்ணித்துனா கூட அந்த பர்டிகுலர் ஆஸ்பெக்ட் will still not sound as good. They may have 1,000 other great mitigating factors which may make their overall music good. But if it's a specific aspect of that, if you just look at it, it will still be a mistake. So that is where, students have to be conscious. This, I'm not addressing this to the great performers or the very established popular stars of today, because they have already made their careers. But students who are coming up in life really need to be aware of these things so that they can actually keep improving. And this is not the first time this point is being made. This point has been made by so many great maestros. I was lucky to have it directly made to me by people like Samangudi Srinivasa Iyer or Lalgudi Jayaraman sir. They were all very analytical. They were very incisive when it came to private discussions. They would actually take the time. They were very generous in sharing their perspectives with a passionate aspirant. And I was really able to spend hours together. And even somebody like Brindama, when I learned from her, she would rarely talk about theory and grammar. She was really against an obsession with theory and grammar. The theory அப்படின்னு சொல்லினே பாடுனா அது சங்கீதம் வராதுன்னு அவள் சொல்லுவா. But the point is that even though she was like that, she also had the generosity of outlook later on, where she would actually sing something and I would just take a fraction of a second later to repeat it. Then she will actually look at me and say, வேணா நீ வேணா அது கொஞ்சம் வேணா மாற்றி பாடிக்கோ அப்படின்னு எனக்கே சொல்லியிருக்காவா. அவள் சொல்ல, பிருந்தா பாடினா வந்து யாரும் சொல்ல மாட்டா, வேணா நீ வேணா கொஞ்சம் வேணா அதை சேஞ்ச் பண்ணி பாடிக்கோ அப்படின்னு she has told me this. ஸோ இதே மாதிரி small things can be easily improved if there is a little bit of thought. And that is where this is a view that Lalgudi sir once told me. ஒரு மியூசிஷியன் வந்து ஒரு மார்க்கதர்ஷியாக பர்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணோம். எது வேணாலும் வாசிச்சுட்டு பாடிட்டு ஒரு பேர் வரத்துக்கு மட்டுமே வந்து குறிக்கோளாக இருக்கக்கூடாது அப்படின்றது வந்து அவர் வந்து நானே இது பல மியூசிஷியன்ஸ் கிட்ட பேசிட்டு இருக்கேன் அப்படின்றது. he has in fact spoken about this even in lectures which are documented and available. Recordings are available about his views on how an artist has to balance between Lakshya and Lakshana. So how does one do this, and what are the common mistakes that we actually see in Carnatic music? Many times when we hear a very good artist sing something, even a mistake will sound very beautiful. It's true. Because of the polish that artist, the individual artist has a lot of polish. இப்போ சமங்குடி ஸ்ரீனிவாசையர் வந்து அப்படின்னு வந்து சதுஸ்ருதி தேவத்தை சண்முகப்பிரியாவில் பாடித்தினாலும், பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் his fantastic polish, nobody really, not many people would actually even think that there is something wrong with that phrase. Only upon his own analysis, he later on evolved it. He changed it a bit later on. But then the next stage of evolution for the same Sangati, அப்படின்னு பாடித்துனா இந்த டோட்டல் தெய்வத்தம் உடைய ஒரு ஆஸ்பெக்ட் இட் செல்ஃப் இஸ் ரிசால்வ்ட். அப்படின்னா there is full Shanmuka Priya there without any kind of reconciliation issues with the raga, lakshana, aesthetics and everything there. So this blend of lakshya and lakshana, how do we do this? And again, there was a conference in Kennedy Center last year where this topic was discussed, like how to build a bridge between theory and practice. How does one actually build this bridge? The main aspect to remember is that how much of theory should a performer know? How much of theory should a musicologist pursue? All these things, different percentages. A performer should be really strong in expression. A performer still needs to focus at least 85 to 90% on expressing things. But an awareness of the basic 10% of theory, grammar, like what is raga swarupa, where are the gamakams there in that raga, what note should not be oscillated, and to what extent, in which context. All these are fundamental levels of theory, practical theory, what I call. This practical theory awareness definitely has to be there, and the secret of this is always a perpetual open mind, open eyes. And the thinking mind, thinking musicianship is what is the secret of evolution. The moment we shut down our brain, then we'll just be stagnating or probably even going down. So the important thing is to always be open to corrections. And let me frankly admit here in public that any mistakes I'm talking about now, I have been guilty of all those mistakes and several more which I won't even talk about. So it's not that I was above that, it's just that I kept thinking and I started changing, refining things.